Okay, we're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the weekly Q&A and form checks. I'm Mick Solomons, the developer of the Starting Strength app and Strength Club, and alongside me today are Alex Koesarie, Starting Strength coach. G'day, Alex.
How's it going, everybody?
Where can people find you, Alex?
We'll put a link in the description. I got a website. I'm in the Starting Strength Coaches directory. I do online coaching for general population people if you're looking for get strong, and I work with a lot of athletes. So powerlifters, weightlifters, grapplers, rock climbers, things like that.
And hard gainers, judging by the dairy cabinet you're calling from.
Yes. If you're lactose intolerant, do not email me. Do not reach out.
Don't even bother.
And special guest today, Starting
work.
Strength coach Alex Mitchell. G'day, Alex. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, pleasure to be here.
Where can people find you, Alex?
Sure. I own a gym called Stronger Now. We are at www.strongernowgym.com. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Stronger Now Gym. And feel free to email me, alex@strongernowgym.com. I deal with kind of the polar opposite of what Kay deals with. You know, mostly seniors, a lot of people who are medically fragile, going through treatments for, either Parkinson's, Alzheimer's treatments, cancer treatments, that kind of thing, as well as just very, very weak novices or people who have never done anything in the gym before. So if that's you and you're just looking for an excuse to get into it, but you're kind of intimidated by normal gyms, I'm the guy.
Do you deal with people who shit themselves when they squat?
If in this magical hypothetical, of course, because this hasn't happened in real life, but if someone were to ask me about that, I would say to talk to your doctor, but not your allergist.
Yeah, well, I guess for people who are a bit confused right now, we're talking about a post that was made on Reddit from a guy who, the post title is "Serious, I keep shitting myself when I squat." So, and that's
if you have trouble controlling your bowels in general, and it's sudden and it has not happened in the past, you need to go to your doctor. You don't need to go to the internet. Do not post on the forums about crapping yourself. You need to go to your doctor.
So there isn't a Starting Strength branded adult diaper that we can get.
Don't give Ripito any more ideas, please.
No. It's made completely out of leather. Very safety prone.
And it's next to impossible to clean.
It's an all-in-one belt and diaper.
So here's my guess when I heard about this. So I've heard go-mad horror stories where someone's like, "Oh, what's the diet? You drink a gallon of milk a day?" Where they'll just drink a gallon of milk a day. They'll consume nothing else. I heard it 3 or 4 separate times through my life. People are like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna try out go-mad. I heard it's really good for you." And then they'll just be like, "Yeah, I just can't do it. I'm 2 weeks in, and I just, everything's gone to hell."
I wouldn't be able to leave the house if I did that. I would not have any confidence in being able to leave my house.
And he's one of the young men who's only drinking a gallon of milk a day, is killing himself. That's my only guess.
Could be. All right. Well, anyway, glad we got that out of the way early. We'll jump into some form checks. We'll start at the A's this week. So we've got Andre Radulescu up first.
Ooh.
Okay.
Oh, that's one you added, right?
No, I think it should have been there from the beginning.
Interesting.
Don't have it?
Oh, it's in the middle for some
I'll
reason.
take it to start.
Please.
Yeah, get lifters to start. If you're just doing barefoot, kind of on the floor, that's more accident prone than you want it to be. It may seem not accident prone at all, but trust me, it is. Especially if you don't have any safeties. So with the kind of quarter rack that you're using, you have no safeties at all. Next thing, widen your grip up by about maybe like 2-3 inches on each side. Think about getting your wrist straight rather than bent back, and then move the hook height. So the hooks that are holding the bar up down to they're about mid sternum. You aim them so you're walking up to the bar when it's in the rack. Get that to mid-sternum height and squat under it. You're already squatting it, so doing an extra quarter squat isn't going to be a big deal. These are to depth. You're trying to stay tight. They're well past depth. We're seeing a little bit too much movement in the lower back, but I think that'll get sorted out when there's more weight on here. This is still a warm-up for you. So I would get started with those things and then take 10-pound jumps for 5 or 6 workouts.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah. It's a running situation here where we're seeing a lot of warm-ups. I'm eager to see some real work sets.
Yeah, we want to see somebody shit themselves. So if that guy is listening, send it in.
So I think Andre actually resubmitted his video because the first one was him shirtless and extremely sweaty, and I wasn't sure what the YouTube community. It wasn't great. I had to say, look, man, sorry, you got to resubmit it. He's like, oh, I didn't realize it was going to be on YouTube. I'll resubmit a video with a shirt on. So thanks for getting the shirt on, Andre.
Well, thanks.
Very kind.
I really appreciate it, Andre. I really do.
Up next, we've got Archipelago. Oh, sorry, I'm already out of order. But anyway, it's Archipelago.
I read that as archipelago.
Archipelago. There you go.
I could be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
This one's the one I was talking about pre-show.
No, okay.
There's stuff going. First of all, it's a double.
There's some things going on. Yeah.
There's just something else. You want me to take this, Kay?
Yeah, I think those reds are also 25 kilos, so that's a pretty big press.
Are you?
No, I think those are 5 pounds. I think those are 5
I was
pounds.
about to say there's just
my man's
maybe
pressing
if
100
he's just
kilos.
brutally strong and doesn't show it.
No, yeah, you got this one.
Yeah, man. So the very first thing happens at the beginning at the unrack. The press. The unrack is the most important part of the press because it's what sets you up for the rest of your lift. You go to unrack the bar. You want the bar a little higher than your squat setup. You want it, so Kay just said, mid-sternum. You want it a little higher than that usually. And you want to make sure that before you put that bar in your hands, you're set up under it with your knees bent such that your wrist is nice and neutral, your elbow is just in front of the bar, you're squeezed tight up here so your biceps making love to your chest, and then you're going to just stand up out of that little mini squat you're in. That'll put you in a good position. And then there's the piece about the hip movement. There's a lot of movement backward. You're kind of cocking your hips back to throw them forward. I take it you're trying to do the press 2.0. There is no movement backward for the hips. The hips should never move backward. So you stand up tall, you brace your abs like you're doing a crunch, but standing up, right, instead of lying on your back, and you brace your quads real hard, and then you're going to just reach your quads forward or into that tension, push into that tension in order to get that bounce. But I would say for you specifically, for this person specifically as a lifter, I'd say let's master the press 1.0. Let's master just unracking, push, and make sure we can do that effectively, and then we'd move into the press 2.0. Not saying wait a month or two, but I'm saying make sure, do a video, make sure that you got the unrack right, got your wrist position right, elbow position right, and then we can get into the hip movement.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that's one thing that a lot of people take for granted is that you do have a lot of time. It may seem like you're in a rush to put more weight on the bar, but if it's an extra session or two, you work on your strict press and just kind of stay where you're at, even just add 2.5 pounds that session, and then go back to the press 2.0. It's totally worth it because you'll run it. It's better to run or to slowly work through the technique rather than run into a hard mechanical wall, because with that,
and then
you
have
could
to
probably add
deload
another 10
severely.
pounds to it, and then you'd have to deload severely to get through the problem. Yeah, so.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, Archipelago. Hope I got that name right. Some comments already. Andre Radulescu, who was the first guy up, he said thank you. And he also said LOL. I assume that's about the T-shirt stuff. Sakib Zulfikar. I'm sorry, man. I'm sure I messed up your name. He said, my first time joining, have been using the Starting Strength app for more than a year. Hello from Boston. Hello, Sakib. Thanks for watching.
The Boston was a curveball. I'm going to be honest with you.
Exactly.
So racist, Alex. So racist.
Yeah. I spent a lot of time in Boston. I really like it.
Really?
But hopefully I'll see you there next time. Yeah.
Okay. There you go. Next video up, we've got Baronmo.
Oh,
This is
this
our.
dude. My coach would say, testing your textiles.
I think he's.
I'm gonna let you take this one.
I think he's lifting on a yacht. That's my guess.
Lives in a houseboat.
He's got to go out and, he's at a party. He's got some champagne ready for him when he. But he's got to get his press.
Got to get his reps in, man.
It's admirable. There's
Man,
no
it's
rest.
trying to get a quick shoulder pump going.
Yeah,
Yeah, man. So I will press and deadlift and bench in non-athletic clothes. It is so not strenuous that you can totally wear your
Oh, yeah.
Dockers and your chinos.
Oh yeah.
It's totally fine.
He's wearing a
If you do
button-up
it in
shirt
a
as well,
commercial
though.
gym,
Now
if you do it in
I
a
will
commercial
say,
gym, that you
I've
will be
done
absolutely
the
fine.
press in a button-up shirt, and I can't remember. At one point, I did find. I think it was through the passing. Once I was passing the forehead, it would catch, and that was an issue.
Yeah, it has to be pretty loose. Otherwise, don't tuck it in.
Yeah, it doesn't
but
matter.
yeah, you keep being very stylish, Baron.
Oh yeah.
Don't let anybody tell you to stifle yourself and your sense of fashion.
Maybe he's a real baron.
It could be. Legally, he has to wear this all the time. I think this is I'm sure that you'll probably have seen this phenomenon a few times, Alex, with masters lifters who can't really get a nice full range of motion all the way back in the press. They'll compensate by having their top position be with their torso lean slightly back. So they're attempting to get the arm vertical and the bar over midfoot, but they're still getting to the end range of motion for their shoulder just by taking it back as far as they possibly can. I know Andy Baker has talked a good bit about that, about like how to replace the press for masters lifters if that is too far gone. Let's say if you can only get up to here because there's like some hard structural changes versus all the way back over your head. So if this is as far as you can get it, just keep doing what you're doing. Try some dead hangs. Experiment with just like some overhanded pull-up dead hangs. See if you can get your shoulder directly under the bar as you're hanging, and then you'll know if your shoulder can get there at all passively. If it can get there, then you can get straight over your head in the press. I would slow down through the top position. Work definitely through your warm-ups and think about pausing and squeezing into it. So like once you're up there, hold it, control it, and think about finishing the range of motion and getting your shoulder all the way up to your ear. Yeah, I think watching your shoulders move, I don't think that it would be too big of a problem. What do you think, Alex?
No, yeah, I think for sure he can get there. This is not. He doesn't have one of those crazy ossified shoulders that I do see those sometimes. Although I will say some of the ones, even that I said, oh, there's no way that we're going to get you pressing, full range of motion. I've been proven wrong a couple of times after years. I mean, for my long-term clients, like 2 years in, they can get a lot of it back if they're really, really diligent about it 3 days a week, every single week, week after week. I would say, the hooks are set too low here. You definitely want to set those hooks maybe one higher, although that's a big lip to come above. But I would say still set them up maybe one higher. And then same thing I said for the first press video we had. You want to get your elbow all the way under the bar, get your wrist straight, and have everything forward of the bar here. And then you just stand up, right? Right now you're kind of shoving your belly under the bar rather than shoving your arms under the bar. Yeah, everything you said too.
All right, thanks, Bronmo. Some more comments. Tricky Trick 696969. Yeah, boys, it's
Nice.
a Monday. Oi, 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 working, but I'll try to check in with a noi. I don't know what that means, but all right. Probably a typo.
What is your job, Tricky?
Yeah, what's your job, Tricky Trick?
Tell us where you work.
yeah.
What law firm do you work at, Tricky?
Joseph Scott, I'm scheduled for a total hip replacement this month because of age and arthritis. So my question is, how long after physical therapy to restart, assuming traditional recovery plus 1 to 2 months PT?
After physical therapy, your physical therapist should tell you, but you can ask them if they don't. But they will typically tell you when you're good to return to exercise and then vigorous exercise. But make sure you have an open line of communication with your physical therapist, the person who's directing your plan of care, not just whatever therapist is executing it. And make sure ask them. Ideally, the first time you meet them, make sure to ask them, hey, I do compound barbell movements or whatever it may be that you want to do, and say, hey, I would just like a timeline as to when I can get back to that. But again, they should usually tell you once you've finished your rounds of physical therapy, you should be ready to go. It's actually if you're going to have a procedure done nowadays, if you're going to have a surgery, total hip replacement's not a bad one to have. I mean, it's a pretty darn well ironed out surgery they're doing these days.
Okay.
Make sure that I would make sure that you kind of include, your history with that, because if this is something that you're attempting to start for the first time after, I don't know if Mick I don't know if that was in the question. It could have slipped by me. Like, if this is something that you haven't done before, you're going to have to grade into it pretty carefully.
Yeah.
So
sure.
Don't just think that your post hip replacement, you're like, oh, I can start it now, and then you just kind of start with standard LP procedures. Be more conservative.
And either way, I would highly recommend hiring a coach. I mean, highly recommend.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. There you go, Joseph. Good luck with the surgery, mate. Hope it all goes well. Safiq Zulfikar from before. Any recommendations on improving shoulder mobility? Under pressing is one way to get there. He says, understand that pressing is one way to get there. Anything else to improve shoulder and cervical spine mobility?
I don't know how much cervical spine mobility you want.
Right. You really don't?
So if you're in a sport that you're doing like related neck work all the time, there's a lot of information out there. Treat it like a small muscle group. It will respond relatively similarly. But outside of that, you don't want to be doing too much neck training if you don't have to, So in terms of shoulder mobility, things that I found to be generally helpful, full range of motion and pauses in your chin up. Working with a pull-up, if you have the strength to do a pull-up, is really great for shoulder mobility. Outside of that, you're doing a ton of it for your thoracic spine every time you're doing a deadlift rep. You have a big old weight on there during the squat, and you're controlling it as much as you can during the overhead press. So you're already doing a lot, or should be doing a lot of heavy things for it. Really, the only things I would add for some people with cranky shoulders are just overhanded pull-ups.
Yeah, I would say for mobility's sake, there's, I think, the things you mentioned previously, the dead hangs. I really just have people, even if they can't do a pull-up, I have them, if I have to, I'll strap them to the pull-up bar, but I have them just hang for 30 seconds. And a lot of people will report that, like, the second...
Just tied on there.
Yeah, just like strap you on there, and note that this will grade with body weight. So, like, the setup I have them standing on a 14-inch box. They grab onto the bar, or strap onto the bar, and they let one foot off, get that stretch, and then let the other foot off, or not, right? They might keep one foot on and kind of regulate the amount of pressure they're putting on their shoulders. Just because if you're like 300 pounds and you're hanging from a pull-up bar, that might be a little more than those cranky tissues. If they're already really immobile and hard to stretch out, it might be a little more than they can handle, and you'll piss them off a little bit.
At what point do you start whipping them?
Oh, I do that from the beginning.
Right, no, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's part of the platform exam. So.
Yeah, exactly. How do you think I could have become an SSE if I didn't? But let's see that, as well as the other thing that Ripto went into at some point was you take a dowel rod, you put it up against the rack in the hooks, and then you just press it against the rack into the hooks until you're all the way up at the top. And as you're pressing up, you're trying to get your head under the dowel rod that you've got as low as possible. And you can even start loading that. And I have had really great success getting people from I can't possibly press, it hurts too much, to overhead pressing, 35, 50, 65, 80 pounds.
Nice.
A few notes for that. So Rip has a good video on it. I think he just kind of explains the shoulder. He explains rehabbing a shoulder surgery, and he'll do that with the gymnastics rings too. He'll dial through the gymnastics rings and walk it up. I'll call those like rack walkthroughs normally. Make sure that your shoulders are shrugged when you do that. So I've had during some experimentation processes, when people will attempt to start, rehabbing shoulders, they'll just kind of put an arm up here and then go. Remember that even if it's not up all the way, the shrug, frankly, is really the important part, one of the most important parts. So,
Yep.
yeah, make sure you're doing those, and don't expect any sort of results quickly. Mitchell, he glided by it a little bit, but like if you are doing it for months on end diligently, expect to see changes. But if you're doing it for like 2 weeks and then you just give up, you're not going to be able to change much.
Yeah, especially if it's been with you especially if those mobility problems have been chronic, or if it's because nowadays I'm seeing people who are 30 and, even, 28, 29 who have really severe immobility of the shoulder because they've been on a computer screen for, something like a decade and a half. So if that's you and, it's been a decade and a half of creating this problem, it's not going to go away in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
All right, there you go. Daniel Mofo is up next.
This looks like an attic to me.
Yes.
Bold move, Daniel.
Yeah. I wonder if he's deadlifting in his attic.
I hope he is. You got to commit, Daniel.
Oh, man. Live dangerously. I have a client who fell through an attic, actually.
While he was deadlifting, or?
No, he was just repairing something.
Oh. I feel like that'd be a good,
These are some long pause squats.
Yeah.
They are. 1, 2. They're almost pinned pause squats. He's almost getting it down there.
Yeah, so Daniel, if you can hold a pause squat for that long and just kind of breathe around and putz around at the bottom, it's significantly too light to be working set. If you were doing a pause squat, it's kind of like a technique introduction, and there's a specific thing you're working on. You should know what it is already. I don't know why you would specifically need a form check on there. And if you do submit something like that, make sure that you know, like, hey, I'm working on, let's say, knee position or thoracic extension, doing this pause squats for that.
Oh, hang on a sec.
He
did mention he's using a foam roller as tubo. Sorry, I forgot to important information there.
Okay.
So he's working on the. What's your feeling on tubo? Okay.
For self coaching, it's great.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because if you're self coaching, you'll oftentimes you will need to create things in kind of like a piecewise function as much as you can, and then introduce as many things that will help you remember the motion, and kind of bring it into the tactile world. I think, like, personally, like, my tactile cues are the most effective out of all the ones that I have.
Agreed.
And being able to, like, carry something like that into self coaching, it's pretty cool if you can do it. So it's like for low back extension deadlift, if you're just a stubborn case and you can't figure it out, going from rack pull to the floor, if you got to do it, you got to do it. Same thing with tubo. If you can't figure out where to put your knees, it's if you need it.
Interesting. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I take it you have a different opinion, Mitchell?
I'm of the Bill Hannon school of anti-tubo. I was convinced by him. I was in his coaching academy group, and I was convinced very, very thoroughly that it's. I don't know much about the coaching at home world because I did it 2 years ago now, but I don't really interact with a lot of people who see me once a month or something like that. Most of my clients are 1, 2, 3 times a week, but for my gym, I have never needed a tubo, and I don't use a tubo. I haven't used one in probably a year and a half now. So,
yeah, I don't think I would ever use it in person. The only time I'll ever recommend it is for people who don't have like the resources for a coach, and I'll find if I'm just giving these people passing advice.
Yeah,
I'll oftentimes use it for people who are holding their knees back too far, because that seems to be a problem with kind of like the lean over hips back cue set. People will say that, not really realize it's overcorrective. Hold them back till they're basically almost completely vertical, and I'll just tell them just to blast through it, knock the tubo over every time, and then more or less, that'll
see now that
position.
I almost like that better. I almost like that better than the meet it and then don't go any further. Or
because it's not really a constraint; it's almost a goal.
Yeah.
And then for most people, like if the two bows narrow enough, which it should be, the knee
Yeah.
will go far enough past the front of the toe that it should tip it over.
That's so interesting. No, I think that makes so much more sense than because half of the problem with the tubo that I've had is like, you tell them to set it up and they set it up and they knock it over and then they've got to, they're worried about that and all that kind of stuff.
It creates a lot of anxiety. Yeah.
Yeah, knock it over the first time and then you kind of know it's a goal. That's interesting. No, I like that a lot better.
All right.
Email Bill Hannon right now. Get him on Skype.
All right. Thanks, Daniel Mofo. Fraser is up next. We've had Fraser on before, haven't we? Have we?
Oh, he's got some rock music in
Have
there.
we?
No, I don't think we have. I think some of these gyms are starting to look a bit... Oh, he does too. I'm playing his
I
music
think
as
it
well.
sounds like that.
He is colour coordinated. I will give him that.
Really
No
is.
kidding.
Hey, Alex
Glasses come
Mitchell,
off.
your mic's
Getting
dropping a
serious.
bit.
Oh, my apologies.
Yep,
Probably the
that,
music.
that's better. Yep.
Better now?
Yep, better now. Yep.
Yeah, so I would start by narrowing the stance up. Think about like having like a credit card's width in between your heels. So if you're looking at your legs from the front, you don't want them tilted in towards each other. Okay? So when you're at the bottom, when you're at the top, whatever frame you're analyzing it through, they're pretty rarely you want them pointed at each other. Get your heels really close together, shove the knees out hard, and I think the rest of it should probably sort itself out as you kind of mature with the pull over time. But yeah, what do you think, Alex?
Yeah, I think, let me see if the bar, I think he's starting out with the bar a little, it might even be too far back. Hold on, my video's having trouble.
It seems like a stance. Yeah, I'm seeing that too. I think it's a stance.
It's definitely
thing. Same thing
related
with
to the
back
stance.
extension.
Yeah, he pushes it forward afterward. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, the bar position starts out too far back, and then you push it a little too far forward in that respect. But that might be fixed with the stance. Just something to be mindful of.
But yeah, otherwise these are a good start. Definitely a good start.
Yeah,
I wouldn't do a reset on this or a deload or anything like that. These still look light enough where you can just introduce the alteration and just keep moving.
Okay, thanks, Fraser. G. Gergens or G. Jurgens.
Jurgens?
G.
Gurgens?
G. Ergens.
Good game, Ergens.
Yeah.
Good game. Good game. He is at LA Fitness. Oh, maybe not, though. There's Rep Fitness plates in the background, so.
Oh, yeah, there are too, yeah.
That's just the only.
Yeah, the LA
place
Fitness giveaway is like the hex plates, I think.
Yeah, dude. Oh, my God.
Mm-hmm.
I still remember learning to power clean on those things.
That sounds incredibly dangerous.
You have no idea.
So G. Gurgens, the bar. I mean, as a high bar squat, these are totally fine. It's a high bar squat. It's not super complicated. You keep doing you. I would move the bar down, switch to a low bar squat, lean over a little bit more, eat some more food, do some more chips and curls. I think you have the back extension down. Yeah. I think this is just kind of like a standard Globo Gym high bar squat. I think a low bar squat would probably suit you better. So
He's squatting far too deep for it to be a standard LA Fitness squat, to be honest.
I was about to say.
I'm just starting to see. I very rarely see quarter squats out in the wild now.
That is true.
I
That
see
is
them.
really true.
Mm-hmm.
I see them when I'm watching professional sport teams how they train. I see them a lot. That's
That
where I
makes
mostly
more
see them.
sense.
Yeah.
Well, there's that article. What is it? YLM Science or something like that. There's someone who's done studies who's now proclaiming that quarter squats are better for athletic performance, and that is what it is, isn't it?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, any other feedback for G.G. Ergens?
I think
Yeah, I would
I think
say
I
get
agree.
lifters.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead, Alex. Go ahead.
I think I would agree with most of what Kay says. Move that bar a little lower, and yeah, man, you've got a lot of room to grow here. Keep eating your groceries, and you could have a pretty darn good squat.
Yeah.
Get yourself some lifters.
He's definitely pretty strong. I mean, that's what is it, like 230 on the bar there, and he's doing it pretty easy.
And it's really not that heavy, and you know, he's not got a lot of meat on him yet.
Yeah.
So if he were to gain 20, 30 pounds, he could have a really, really damn good squat.
All right, GG Ergens, good job. Ivory Orse, he's up next.
Now that's a art.
It's a meaty dude.
I know. I see people built like this, and I get so jealous, man.
This better be a set of like 10.
Oh,
Well, hang on, I got some notes from Ivory Orse. He said change to low
it
bar
is. He's
squat.
doing like 8.
Yeah, he said he
How many
changed.
did he do?
I've got some notes for him, so he can. He said he changed to the low bar squat from a high bar about 3 months ago. Couldn't handle more than 80 kilograms without the lower back weakening. Built up to 140 kilograms, or 315, on SSLP. I've never had my form properly assessed other than by myself. Thank you.
Pretty good for just doing it by yourself, man. I gotta say, like, pretty darn good.
If you're doing other sports, I love this depth and the bounce out of it. If you're trying to min-max poundage, widen your stance a little bit, point the toes out more, and you can shave off 2 inches out of it and still be at depth. But I don't know, man. You have a really good physique for like wrestling or grappling. You just want like a very long torso and very stubby limbs. You just want to be a giant meatball. So do that. Change your life priorities around.
Or
powerlifting,
start an MMA
I
career.
feel like. I mean, he could probably
Maybe
do
powerlifting. If that
pretty
can count as
well
a sport, do powerlifting.
Yeah. Get yourself.
Mm-hmm.
He might be even really good at the Olympic lifts. I bet.
Yeah, probably.
It's very possible. Mm-hmm. We're all jealous of you, Ivory Horse. You keep
We really
keep it on.
Hey, I think Ivory Horse might be Tricky Trick 696969. I think it might be the same dude.
Oh my God, he works with that buffer.
6969.
Because he said up to 155 kilograms a day, feeling good, boys. So I think,
Oh, nice.
yeah. I think
He's
as
the best lawyer in all of Australia.
I think you could also it'd also help old mate in the background who's squatting, doing quarter squats with the old pussy pad as well. So give him give him a hand next time as well.
Oh, those are half squats. Give him credit.
One
Yeah,
thing we
okay.
didn't mention is that this was a warm-up squat. This was a warm-up set, or you could hit this for another fucking 7 reps.
Yeah,
so
dude,
if you were considering this to be a warm-up or to be a working set, add another 20 kilos and then try again, and they'll slow down.
Those are like, aren't those like Jordans or like tennis shoes or something? Those are not lifters. They're definitely cushy.
They're Under Armour something. Who knows what they are, but they're working. So
Yeah, so like get yourself some lifters or some, flatter shoes and, put, I don't know, another 50 kilos on the bar or something.
Yeah. So Tricky Trick 696969 confirmed it is actually him. So
Nice,
it
man.
is actually
We're all
Ivory
jealous.
Horse.
he said he's trying
Listen,
to be
man,
like
you can
Chase.
do-
That's his goal.
Oh, okay.
Good luck.
Maybe so. You can either do a real sport or lift weights. Choose one of the two. No. Choose one of the two.
All right. Thank you, Tricky Trick 696969. What we got next? Oh, we got another J Fraud. We got another genetic freak.
Yeah, what's that, 400?
Yeah, we've had this guy on a few times, and we were always. We've got some notes from Jay Fraught. He said he dropped 10 pounds the last 2 weeks due to some health issues. I wonder if he's the guy that's been shitting himself. Not sure if my levers are just off, but my first 2 reps, both heels came completely off the ground, even while focusing weight on the midfoot.
Try flats. If you're near a coach, get a coach. They'll fix it. If you're not, take the heel off. You'll probably be okay. That may fix it in as much time as it takes to take off your shoes and put weight on the bar. Other than that, you're kind of doing like what's his name? His name's John Hack. He's a powerlifter on the scene now. He kind of has that constant fight with knee slide under the toes that you do. Look at him and then kind of be like, how exactly is this fellow squatting? Because it looks a lot like exactly what you're doing. Otherwise, the head's coming up, which if anything would get you a little bit more on the heels rather than getting you on the toes. So like you just may have to work through some aggressive cueing and kind of some aggressive stance modifications to get you back on your heels, or just accept that you're a dude who kind of squats on his toes. So
Could also be the case that unless you've seen this guy before and he's had the problem constantly, it could also be the case if he's lost like 10 pounds of body weight that he needs to do a little bit of a deload before he hits this weight. It looks, I mean, not super crazy heavy for him, but those first couple reps, it looks like he's having just general trouble controlling the weight.
Yeah, so we've seen Jordan before, and he's always done the high bar, low bar, so like low bar position, high bar mechanics.
Sure,
yeah. And then, so whenever you do lose a lot of weight rapidly, it does feel like you're driving around a different vehicle. So, everything could just be a little bit different in terms of how you're thinking about the technique. So just give it a few weeks, see what happens, I would say.
Yep. I always recommend like bringing yourself up over the course of a week or two. If you're out for a health issue, surgery, whatever it is, bring that stuff in slowly. It's not a race.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, I hope you're feeling better, Jordan. Thanks for the video, mate.
This is the first time we've seen him without a hat, I think, also.
Yeah, it is, yeah. Lee, 75 kilograms. Oh, this looks like the gym from before. Yeah. They're obviously metalheads, these guys. Let's see. Yeah, we got metal music, definitely. Can hear that. Is that metal? I don't know what that is.
It's something.
It's rock. I don't know that it's metal.
I think it's just rock. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He has a Metallica shirt on, though, so that is.
He does have a Metallica shirt on.
Mm-hmm.
These look heavy in the hands, but not really heavy anywhere else. Maybe time to think about switching your grip up, buddy.
Yep, couldn't agree more. Let me just see this last rep. He actually does a better job of it later on, but just keep in mind that you want to get yourself really, really far away from the bar. Squeeze that chest up, point your nipples at the wall in front of you. But you do a better job of it as you go through.
Yeah, I think these will mature just fine. Just make sure that you and the other guy you're working out with are just going to like a buffet a few times a week if you can.
Oh yeah. Yep, you are in the perfect position to eat some groceries.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. All right, Lee. Jordan Fraughton from before said, "Thanks, fellas. Trying not to be the meatball anymore." So it sounds like he's doing a cut.
The infamous meatball.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you're losing weight at kind of like the 1.5-2% body or global weight per week, which is not horribly aggressive, but on the higher side, it will feel like you're driving around a little bit of a different vehicle. I've noticed this especially on the deadlift, where like large guys will be able just to crank themselves behind the bar and pop anything off the floor. So the mechanics are going to feel like they're going to change. You're not going to be able to avoid that. But I would say give it some time. Maybe I would say delay your weight expectations by like a week. Probably focus on volume a little bit more, especially on the cut. So,
yeah, could very well be. Yeah, I would say the things that helped me during my cut, and this is not necessarily what I do with my clients, but I switched to something more when I did a kind of severe cut of an RPE based program with my coach. And I found, RPE based with scales, right? So, we want in the neighborhood of 325 to 350, but an RPE 8, right? Whatever's in that neighborhood. And that really helped me that with that issue of, the press feels really different if you were heavy and then you get lighter. Deadlift, like you said, feels super different if you were using your body weight kind of as counter leverage. And, all of them, everything but the bench didn't change for me, but I know lifters who did, for whom it did.
Okay. Jordan, good luck with the cut, mate. Hopefully it's a cut and not a health issue. We've got Lee Bench.
Wait. Real quick, Mick. Quick.
Yeah.
Jordan, if you are cutting, remember we have the bodybuilding show in 2023 to get to.
We're building up to it
as well. Exactly. So plan that into your calendar.
Yeah. Do we have a meatball category for that bodybuilding competition?
That's
how you get me into a bodybuilding competition.
Yeah.
All right, we've got Lee Bench up next. My old buddy Lee.
Oh yeah, this is the guy who had the little bit of lumbar flexion last time.
We had his barbell curl video last week, Alex Mitchell.
What?
Yeah.
That was a good curl.
I missed it. I'm jealous.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let you take this one, Kay.
Interesting. Alex Mitchell, where do you think this head thing comes from? Do you think it's replication from whenever people are looking like the super heavies rock forward in the bench shirts? Do you think it's like some sympathetic? Well, I mean, like it's either that or it's just like sympathetic contraction from like the SCMs, just from the pecs moving so hard. Like, what do you think?
I actually think it's the latter. That's always been my working theory. Not because I don't think. I mean, I'm sure some people just see that. It's also, I mean, he's got the tendency to want to look at the bar. It looks like. So, if you're looking at the bar and the bar is going down, you're kind of you're following it as you're going down. But if anything, I think it's what you mentioned. Just because I've seen it with highly detrained older people, they'll tend to go.
Ooh, that's pretty cool. They're doing the powerlifter heave. Yeah.
I have the answer. Yeah. I have the answer for this. I thought I'd let you guys discuss it, but I have the answer. Having watched Lee bench 1,000 times.
Go for it.
Basically what happened, he's got some weird sort of scoliosis, and he ends up jamming his head into the bench if he doesn't lift his head off, he ends up getting a lot of neck pain and injuries. So he's just, as a result of that, he lifts his head off the bench to stop himself from jamming his head into the bench and injuring his neck.
So the Blue Book has an awesome fix for that, which is you keep your hair touching the bench, but you never let your head touch the bench. So you want all those muscles in isometric contraction, but you really don't want them. You really don't want the cervical joints moving around. It's just not ideal. The other thing to note here is we really do not want to be looking at the bar. We want to be looking at the ceiling and sort of aiming that bar just like you would a shot put, just like you would a golf swing, anything like that. You want to be aiming that bar where it needs to be.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Thanks, Lee. We have Luca M next.
I'm through rep 1. I love it. It's great.
It is a solid.
I'm getting some pinwheel, solid pinwheel action.
You didn't download the videos.
Oh, I did. I've been using the.
The browser.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Luca, I would move your gaze up. It looks like you're looking almost directly straight down. And the reason we like people to look up a little bit more is to help set the thoracic spine into extension, kind of help guide the chest. You're doing a great job of both of those things. So would it actually change much? Not at all. Would it probably be a little bit helpful? Yes. So, yeah, move your eyes up 4 to 6 feet if you can, and then keep doing everything you're already doing.
Yep. Okay.
Couldn't agree more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looks good. And add some weight. This is not that heavy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good on you, Luca M. Next up, we have MJDC, who we've had on a few times. He said
is
my
press? Is this the deadlift? No? Okay.
No, I think he's got a squat.
Okay.
Are we looking at the squat?
Yeah, MJDC. He said this was a real grind. My right hip socket has been sore lately. Anything in my form you can spot that may account for that? I'm 41 years old, 5'9", 230.
Right hip socket. Interesting phrasing there. Yeah, he's definitely kind of. This is high bar, isn't it?
Nah, I think he's trying the low bar.
Yeah, he's trying to
low
look
at the
bar,
reflection.
I think he's in a mid bar or a high bar position. I don't think he's hit that.
I think mid bar.
Yeah.
I think mid bar. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I get really funky when you start saying like, oh, you're doing this, so that's why your hip is hurting. But there are some things that you could definitely fix in this, especially if you're trying to go low bar. We talked about stretching out the shoulders a lot. This episode, I also talked, last episode I was on, and I think we posted a clip on the Reddit of just, going under that bar, coming out, going under, feeling some stretch, coming out, going under, feeling some stretch, coming out, and try to get that bar about maybe an inch, maybe even just a ½ inch lower on your back. And the way you'll know is you'll get low enough to where that bar starts rubbing against the bone and getting really uncomfortable if you press into it. You got some meat on your back. So you'll really have to press into the bar to feel it. But you'll feel it rub against the bone, and then you just put it a teensy bit lower than that bone, and you'll be in the low bar position. After that, you're doing a decent job of pushing your hips back. You can do a little more, get a little more bent over earlier in the squat, and then most importantly, let that drive up as well. Think about pushing your butt up first, and just keeping your torso really rigid, not letting it go loose.
I definitely agree with all that. I think low bar is just a more secure position than mid bar. So even if it's like the high bar versus low bar debate, I don't really frankly care which one you end up choosing, but just don't do mid bar. Either of the two positions will be more secure than just having it in kind of no man's land. So
especially if you're a big guy. I have with every single
it's just
big
all
guy
round up there.
Yeah, it always rolls one way or the other. It's gonna get somewhere else. And also, if you can get into the low bar position, but it rolls mid set, do high bar. Don't screw around with that. Just do high bar. It helps no one, and especially not the lifter, to have that bar rolling around on your back, moving around while you're in the middle of a rep.
Mm-hmm. The next thing I would say is that when you're dealing with a hip thing, you kind of have to just rule out what actually is the relative point of irritation, So like if it is going too wide, if it's too much external rotation that's bugging you, go for a narrow stance, go more knees forward, accept that you're going to have to get more vertical, get a shoe with a higher heel. If it's being too narrow that's bothering you, try the modification of going wider. If the hip is cranky for a few months and you have to work through a modified stance, that's totally fine. You're not making that commitment for the rest of your life. So I would definitely just do some fact finding, do some troubleshooting to see what's actually irritating you. If it's just loading in any type of squatting at all, regardless of the weight, regardless of the stance, then you're going to take some more drastic interventions, but definitely start playing around with the stance. I would try narrower with a higher heel for now. That would probably be my first go-to. So I don't know how much wider you could get on yours.
Yeah, it's pretty wide already.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you very much, MJDC. We've got R. Balboa up next. I think we had him on last week as well.
Rocky himself, huh?
It is. He said 165-pound work set, having difficulty finding and keeping correct bar position while also keeping the correct grip position. Narrow grip tightens back, but forces elbows straight under the bar.
Yeah, so I think that... Is this just a video with like slightly more weight on than last week?
I think so, yeah.
Do you remember this one? Okay.
Yeah, I think we talked about his wrist
pounds
position last week as well.
Yeah, so I think all of the same things that Rusty and I talked about last time are still going to stand. So widen it out if you have to. Try to get your wrists straight and keep them straight. It will feel like a point of pressure. It shouldn't feel super comfortable. The next thing, if you need to drop the thumb under the bar to keep that straight and keep the bar in the same position, go for that. If you need to drop a pinky off and actually turn the hand out to the side, out to the uprights more, it's totally fine too. You're just playing around to find a solution that will work for you for as long as it needs to work, and then you can keep moving towards optimal a little bit later on. Like Alec was saying with bigger guys who have just kind of more meat on the back, you will have to do a little bit more troubleshooting to find a correct spot for it. So.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, just on that. So MJDC from before left a comment, said he's trying to do low bar, but he says if it goes any lower, it slips down.
That's probably because he's losing thoracic extension and scapular retraction through the concentric phase. That goes back into you're trying to lead up with your chest. You're trying to come up this way, and also keeping your torso rigid. If you're able to think about squeezing those shoulder blades as you're coming up and really keeping that tension in your abs, keeping that tension in your torso as you're coming up, sort of coming up as a whole unit rather than trying to get this up first and then let the rest come back, that should be able to sort itself out. But again, as we've said now 3 times, it's going to take a little more troubleshooting if you're a bigger guy.
Yep. Send us another video, Matthew. See if we can get it sorted out. We have RN Vol 18 up next.
What is this?
Washing guns.
Oh, he was.
I thought he was about to get under the bar backwards. That's what I thought was about to happen. I think he was just
Yeah,
that's
that's
concerning.
Yeah.
Okay. This is actually the angle I coach from in my gym.
Laying on the floor.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
going to
I
say
just lay on the
face up.
floor and look basically up my lifter's ass. That's
Take it away, Alex.
yeah, man. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell what's going on with the bar position there. It may be too high. It may be just right. But one thing's for sure is that you need to widen that grip out a little bit and straighten those wrists out. You're using your upper back as sort of like a platform and kind of trying to flatten it out so that you can keep the bar there. And if you just squeeze your chest up, do the exact opposite, widen that grip out, squeeze those shoulder blades tight, you've got these little muscles back there that will create a nice little shelf. It's a very, very secure position. You can jump up and down with the bar right there, and it won't move if you can get it in there. But again, for the fourth time now, it can take some playing around. But with you, I think it is just widening your grip a little bit. Let's see. As far as the movement goes, it's kind of hard to tell. It's really, really light again. He's hitting depth, it looks like, so I wouldn't say that that's an issue. But I think mainly you fix that upper back stuff, then the rest will probably figure itself out.
Yeah, so the breathing cadence is that make sure that you're not still inhaling on the way down. So only breathe when
I
not
didn't
moving.
have the
So
audio
when
on,
you
sorry.
are, yeah, I'm keeping it on very faintly, so I'll hear just like little whispers. But yeah, so when you are locked out at the top, that's when you take your breath. You clamp down on your stomach, and then you squat. You'll have plenty of time to breathe after the set is over. These are like at depth, like really at depth. And I've noticed the trend for people who are directly there is that it will inch higher and higher over time.
Very true.
So I would coach you to go a little bit deeper than this. And your thumbs are under the bar as well, or excuse me, around the bar, so you're just holding the bar completely in your hands. When you widen your grip out, you'll feel more comfortable to get your thumbs around the bar on the same side as your fingers, and that tends to be more comfortable for most folks. So.
Yep. Okay. Is that a George Washing Guns t-shirt? It kind of looks like it. It is George Washing Guns.
It is.
Yeah.
Magnificent.
It is very
really
much so is.
So Matthew from before said, thanks guys, and thank you for the deadlift advice last week. It really helped.
Absolutely, man. Of course.
Yeah, no worries, Matthew. Thanks for sending the videos in. We've got Sean BK1.
Ooh. I think I remember this guy. Hopefully we got some updates.
It's definitely some sort of CrossFit facilities.
Oh, yeah. Although, what's that in the background? Is that a recumbent bike?
Looks like a gynecologist chair.
That's what I was saying. It's a really weird one.
These are way better than last time, so that's a really good start. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would pull the heels in a little bit more. Keep trying to do what you're doing. I think you were just not centered on the bar correctly, and that could be an artifact of like shoulder flexibility. So if you think you're getting like evenly tight on your shoulders, but actually you'll just end up in a different spot. So you may have to visually confirm, look left and right, and be like, am I symmetrical on the bar? It looks to me like it's a little bit left heavy, and then that's why we're seeing such a dramatic tilt. What do you think, Alex? Am I seeing that, or am I hallucinating?
It's not terribly. It's not a lot of left, like bar position you're talking about. The bar isn't like wildly left, far on its left side. I think it might be more of a function of mobility, and he's actually able to get it sort of a little too low. It looks like, or he's gotten it a little too low, and a little cut diagonal on that onto that left shoulder blade. At least that's what it looks like to me.
Yeah.
Because you see how the left wrist is bearing the weight of the whole weight of the bar there. That would be my guess. It just you need a lot more upper back tightness. It may help you to do a little bit of the mobility work we talked about at the beginning, before getting your squats done or before starting your squats, just the dead hangs, really, really stretching out those shoulders, and then focusing really hard on when you get under that bar, setting the position, squeezing your shoulder blades tight, and then receiving the bar and snuggling it into your shoulder blades so that it doesn't move whatsoever.
Okay. Thanks, Sean. Thanks for the video. Good progress, man. Up next, we have Tiago Gogato. Oh, we're going to get the full video here.
I have a feeling this is going to be another warm-up set.
I hope I'm surprised. Don't let this down, Thiago.
Is it Tiago or Thiago? I always thought it was Tiago.
Well, there's an H there, so if Rip has taught me anything, it's that you're supposed to say those.
You'd say the H first, wouldn't you?
I thought Rip's primary lesson was, put H's where there are none.
Tiago.
Thiago.
Tiago.
Yeah, these are high, my man. I think you're
these
holding
are
the
LA
knees
fitness
back.
squats we were looking for.
Yeah, including that funky rack. Yeah, so I would use the tubo in this one if you're self-coaching, and then just knock it the hell over. Okay. Don't think about holding your knees back. Your knees need to punch forward about an inch right past your toes. That's normally where they'll end up for most people. So tubo, get your knees forward. I think you have the rest of the mechanics down enough that these will self-organize over time, so long as you can get your knees more forward.
Yeah, good for you for getting all the equipment you needed. If that is in your home, it looks like it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Good work, Tiago. Keep the videos coming, man. Tony 1977.
He was our last video last week too with them.
Did he?
Yeah. Tony capped us off last time.
Yeah.
This is a direct Instagram angle, though. This is nice.
I told you, this is how I coach my clients.
Dude, these shorts have got about a week left in them, I reckon.
You think they've got that long?
Well, they're struggling. They're struggling.
Yeah, that stance is super duper
doggo.
wide. He's got that strong powerlifting. Oh, and there's a dog.
Yeah, I don't care about the lift anymore. Get more dog.
I
want to see
10
that
out of 10 best squats I've ever seen. Better than any others that we've seen on this podcast. Fantastic. No, man, I'd say narrow your stance a significant amount, maybe even a third of that. Take a third off of that, and then it might need a little more narrowing even then. I think he is a good example of what we're talking about when we say like you kind of have to compromise sometimes to get that bar low on your back if you do want to do a low bar squat. He's obviously got wrist straps on in order to prevent his wrists from hurting because he's got his thumbs under the bar. If that all is necessary to get you there, then, and sometimes it is, then that's okay if you want a low bar squat. I think the stance adjustment though is going to fix a lot of these issues, and then if not, we definitely need to work on upper back tightness all the same.
Yeah, I completely agree. Narrow the stance. I think we mentioned that last time, but just move it in too much, and then you'll know when you've went too far or you've gone too far, and then correct out. If you try to play in half an inch at a time, you're going to waste 3 weeks. And while it can take time, it shouldn't take that much time. Try to find a local starting strength coach, but start with the stance. I found that, you may think about this differently than me, Mitchell, because you work with a lot of Masters guys. I found that dropping off the pinky and the ring finger tends to be way more palatable for people than getting the thumb under. Do you ever play with that?
I've never dropped the pinky and the ring finger off. You mentioned it, and I said that's a pretty interesting idea. I don't have a terrible glut of people who squat low bar. to be honest, because again, Masters clients. A lot of people who I work with have to squat high bar, and there's just, it's lucky that they can get it that far, or with the SSB if they can. But when they can do low bar and they get that heavy epicondylitis, I would wonder, does turning the wrists hard out, getting that pinky and ring finger off the bar, does that help at all to relieve pressure at the elbow?
So right now I've only seen it. I see it commonly just kind of with like big, strong, jacked powerlifters, and I think they have to do a little bit of both. But my thinking on it's been like, if we need to tilt the forearm out and I want to keep the hand in ratio with the forearm, I'd rather have them stay in the same direction and pop the pinky off. Sometimes the ring finger, if it's dramatic, then like get the thumb under and bend the whole thing back. But the easier solution, and possibly the more correct one, is just high bar or safety bar squat.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's a necessary thing. I tried for probably a full year with a lot of Masters clients to really jam them down there and get them into the low bar position, and the yield is not anywhere worth it. For the amount of time that it takes, for the amount of pain and heartache and risk and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think that's a neglected part about it, is the pain and heartache part. So if you're like, hey, every time we're going to squat, we're going to have to put you through this process, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, especially if you're telling grandma to do that.
Yeah.
Like, some grandmas are okay with that, but a lot are not.
Yeah. Golden tidbits from the Master's Corner.
Yes, indeed. Well, that's it. We've done it. Right on an hour, guys. That's pretty impressive.
Killer.
There we go.
Yeah, and anything else you guys want to add? Any other gems, pieces of wisdom?
Any tidbits? No.
Load your bar.
Yeah.
It's easier for us to help you out if your bar is fully loaded.
Yes.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks for your time, fellas. Thanks to everyone that submitted their videos. Oh, just quickly, it's about a 3 to 4 week wait now if you're submitting your videos through the app, just because we've had so many submissions. So if we didn't get to you today, sorry, but we're doing our best. And I usually leave in the comments who's getting form checked before the video starts. So hopefully that's helpful. And that's it. We are done. Thanks, guys.
Should be it.
Cool.
Absolutely. Right. Thank you for your time, Mick.
Yep. No, you're welcome. Thanks for joining us, fellas, and we'll catch you next week.
All right. See you guys.
Thanks so much. See ya.